Tonight we'll examine the key issues shaping the international stage. First, we turn our attention to the escalating tensions in the Middle East. The region is nearing a boiling point with devastating consequences for civilians. Israel continues to expand its operations in Gaza and Syria, while Lebanon braces for a potential confrontation along its southern border. These developments, accompanied by growing international condemnation, underscore the fragility of the region and the devastating toll on civilian populations. Let's begin with this unfolding crisis in the Middle East, and let's get in focus. As winter hits Gaza, nearly 2 million displaced Palestinians face challenges in protecting themselves from the cold. With limited access to warm clothing, blankets and heating supplies, families are struggling to survive in makeshift shelters that are vulnerable to harsh weather. The Washington Post reports that the United Nations has warned of worsening conditions, with over 945,000 people in urgent need of winterization supplies. However, limited access and rising costs have hindered aid efforts, leaving many without sufficient resources to prepare for the cold. While Israel maintains its intransigence regarding the entry of some aid shipments, residents report extreme hardships, with many unable to afford winter essentials. The constant fear of illness and the risk of freezing remain major concerns for displaced families. And providing more analysis about these tensions, we're joined from Cairo by Mr. Ashraf, editor-in-chief of Al-Ahram newspaper. Welcome, Mr. Abul Hol. Now, with Israel expanding the operations in Gaza and Syria, how do you assess the implications of the regional stability in the coming months?
Of course, regarding Israel expanding its operations in Syria and seizing of the destabilization of Syria after the ouster of the Bashar al-Assad regime and after destroying all military territories and sustaining the disengagement agreement for the 1974, all these indicators that the war in the region is going to be perpetuated and that the forces in Syria that are controlling Syria and ruling over Syria right now, regarding these forces, some of them actually find an urge to counter the Israeli occupation. This is going to exacerbate the situation, of course. And ceasefire with Lebanon, Israel is still seizing the respite that it is using in order to withdraw, or that it has to withdraw from Lebanon. This means that all these are indicators that can in fact increase and exacerbate the situation in the region further and further. And in fact, neither the United States nor the United Nations have been able to stop Israelis' offensives.
So, as you're saying, the growing tension between Israel and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, could this lead to further escalation? Do you foresee more escalation taking place?
Definitely, yes. The offensive happening in the south of Lebanon and the Israeli allegation that they are just demolishing the infrastructure of Hezbollah and their statement, an allegation that they have destroyed one of the main centers of Hezbollah. This is going to re-exacerbate the conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. And there are forces from the base of Hezbollah and the forces that reject the ceasefire. They are trying to force Hezbollah to actually fight back. And these are all indicators that the military operations are going to be escalated.
Mm-hmm. Well, also considering the recent Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, how do you interpret the rising international condemnation, especially with the statements coming from Pope Francis?
Of course, Pope Francis, the Pope of Vatican, has been playing a good role in condemning the Israeli aggression and any other aggression in the world. But Israel does not hear any voice, not the voice of Antonio Guterres, not the voice of Pope Francis, not the voice of the chairman of the ICC or the ICJ. Israel just doesn't care. It just keeps on assaulting all parties in the region indefinitely. And there was a report published in the international press in which a military chief was speaking that everybody passing in some areas in Palestine is being shot indefinitely. And this military chief confirmed that around 200 persons were murdered and the corpses were left out in the streets for the dogs to devour them. And these people in different areas in Palestine were shot, without even making sure that they are affiliated with Hamas or they just do that indefinitely. Yes. And they do not respect any of the international provisions.
Mr. Ashraf Abul-Hol, the Editor-in-Chief of Al-Ahram from Cairo, thank you very much, sir, for your insights. And as the Middle East grapples with escalating tensions, another conflict on the global stage continues to deepen, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This conflict has entered a new phase, marked by escalating drone attacks, territorial shifts and intensified military operations. Ukraine is turning to innovative warfare tactics due to a severe shortage of frontline forces, while Russia expands its control over additional villages in the east. With peace prospects seeming further away than ever, let's dive into the latest updates from this ongoing conflict. The Kiev Independent has reported that Ukrainian forces have, for the first time, used ground and FPV drones to target Russian positions, marking a significant shift in their warfare tactics. This assault near Lipitsy involved robotic systems, including drones equipped with machine guns and kamikaze capabilities. This move highlights Ukraine's strategy to mitigate manpower shortages through technology, contrasting with Russia's heavy reliance on infantry, which has resulted in unsustainable casualty rates. Reports indicate that Russia's losses have surpassed 750,000, with further casualties anticipated. Ukraine continues to innovate, developing systems such as the Ratal-S unmanned vehicle to enhance combat effectiveness, demonstrating its commitment to technological advancements. And to shed more light on this conflict and the recent updates concerning the ongoing Russia-Ukrainian situation, we're joined from Berlin by Dr. Abdelmasih Hashemi, an international relations professor. Dr. Hashemi, thank you and welcome to Qnews. Now, let me ask you first, how do recent Ukrainian drone attacks on the Russian oil facilities signal a shift in the tactical warfare?
Greetings, everybody. In fact, undoubtedly, this move right now is going to exacerbate the escalation between the two countries, Russia and Ukraine. Of course, Ukraine initiated this move when it started using wide-range or long-range weaponry in order to target some places inside Syria, and Ukraine has been using heavy weaponry in order to target some elements inside Syria. This is an escalation that is extremely dangerous by all measures, and it could lead to the war exacerbating further and to a widening of the war scale in order to involve external parties like the NATO. This escalation might actually lead this war to become an all-out war, and it could actually lead to a direct...
Well, so... What implications does Russia's capture of additional villages in eastern Ukraine have on the broader military landscape? Dr. Hashemi, how do you think are the additional capture of the villages in eastern Ukraine by Russia, what sort of implications do you think they will have, that capture would have on the broader military landscape?
Undoubtedly, this, of course, is going to impact the field battle significantly. First, this is going to give the Russian army to move freely in this region, and the areas that got annexed to Russia by dint of referendums or referenda that have a majority of Russians. In fact, these people consider themselves part of the Russian people, and these territories have now become Russian. And this gives Russia the right to defend these territories and these villages. Right now, in fact, according to the referendum have belonging to Russia, and this is going to give Russia an ability to move on the ground and to use the manpower over there to defend these territories and to guarantee that these territories remain part of the Russian national territories. In fact, this point, raises a lot of discord between Russia and Ukraine and between Russia and other Western countries and the NATO. But in all cases, I believe that Russia is holding on to these territories, and any attempt from the end of Ukraine or NATO to get Russia to exit these territories, this could have grave military repercussions. And so any political solution or resolution that could be operationalized in the future after Donald Trump takes office, and specifically after his statement that he is going to advance a peace process between the Russians and the Ukrainians, I believe that the Russians are not going to accept anything but for these territories to remain annexed to Russian national territories. In fact, these territories are hot zones until now, and in fact, a political dispute or conflict can actually erupt in these annexed territories if no consensus or agreement takes place between Ukraine and Russia regarding these territories.
Well, so with Ukraine's shortage of the frontline forces, how sustainable really is its defense strategy moving forward?
I believe that Ukraine's chances in doing an escalation or to prolong the conflict are actually getting more meager by the day. And for the West, regarding the West, they cannot actually provide more financing or arms to Ukraine. And right now, we are just a few days away from Trump taking office. And we all know that Trump is not going to keep on financing Ukraine and is going to try to halt the war. And if this happened, Ukraine is going to lose this war and Russia is going to emerge victorious. Of course, Ukraine will try to change the situation one way or another, but I believe they are not going to succeed in that. And
Yes.
Right now we are in the last days of the Biden administration, and there could be some kind of a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine brokered by the United States before Russia...
Hopefully so, sir. Yes. Dr. Abdelmasih Shemi, the International Relations Professor from Berlin, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your expertise. And as the international community watches these conflicts unfold, another significant crisis has emerged in the United States, the recent government shutdown. This event not only exposed deep divisions within the Republican Party, but also underscored the enduring influence of former President Donald Trump. The U.S. government narrowly averted a shutdown, with Trump playing a pivotal role in shaping Republican strategies and disrupting bipartisan efforts to resolve the funding deadlock. This crisis has had a lasting impact on the nation's domestic and international reputation. Let's examine how this crisis unfolded and its broader implications for the U.S. governance.
We can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, and indeed the whole world. USA! This is a magnificent victory for the American people. Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again.
The Economic Times piece sheds light on Elon Musk's disruptive role in the recent U.S. government shutdown crisis. His tweets, amplified by his massive platform, derailed bipartisan efforts to keep the government open, underscoring his growing influence in Washington. The shutdown exposed the risks of unelected figures like Musk wielding disproportionate power, raising critical questions about accountability and the intersection of personal interests with governance. As lawmakers confront future budget challenges, preventing such disruptions will be crucial to maintaining government functionality. And joining us from Kentucky to discuss this critical issue is Dr. Ihsan Al-Khatib, the political science professor. Dr. Khatib, thank you for joining us here on the show. Sir, how do you view former President Donald Trump's role in this recent shutdown crisis, particularly his demand for a debt ceiling increase?
Thank you for inviting me first. The issue with Trump is that he doesn't have command and control over members of the Congress. This is obvious. We have 535 people in the Congress. The crisis over the spending is not new. I think the world has become used to it. The American people has become used to it. When Clinton was president, there was this issue too. There was Newt Gingrich leading the Republicans, and the Republicans had to cave in because Clinton was more popular, and he was able to blame the Republicans. Now, with Trump, he didn't get everything he wanted, and there are Republicans who don't see eye to eye with him. The Democrats are united, but the Republicans are not united, and Trump did not get everything he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Well, sir, from an international perspective, how does a government shutdown impact the U.S.'s global standing and its relationships with allies and adversaries, or does it have no bearing whatsoever?
I think the world has gotten used to it. There is so-called essential. Anything deemed essential will continue to function. So it's not like you're going to have a shutdown of everything. The government will continue to function. But there's going to be big inconvenience. So, for example, we are now the Christmas holiday. Imagine not paying people during this time of the year. That's going to make a lot of people angry. So you have services that affected people will be affected, paychecks for employees, government employees, but the essential services, essential work of the government will continue regardless.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Republican Party faced internal divisions during this crisis. How do you see Trump's influence affecting the party's cohesion and the leadership of the House Speaker, Mike Johnson?
Well, in the past, we saw that the Republican infighting has been complained about a lot. I mean, there is one speaker that wrote a book really scathing criticism of his own Republican Party. I think his name was John Bonnier, if I recall. Can't remember his name. But he was a speaker from Ohio, and he wrote a book that was really hard on the Republicans more than on Democrats. And then we had a big fight also that with the intervention of Trump when during Biden's time earlier, that this conflict was ended with the intervention of Trump at the time. But they have you have 535. They have different agendas, they have different constituencies, they have different needs. When you say, I want to cut spending, which program you're going to cut, it will affect a certain area. If you have a government program in your district, your constituency like it, they want it. So cutting it. So this is the bill, this budget has like all kinds of programs that benefit all kinds of people. So he's going to have, Trump is going to find it very difficult to really have them line up and march to his orders. It's going to be very difficult because Congress is used to handing out money here and there, and
yes.
It's like a Christmas tree, the budget. Everybody gets something.
Well, Dr. Khatib, now the shutdown threat caused significant anxiety among several federal employees and the general public. What do you think were the domestic repercussions of this crisis?
Well, it tells us something about what's coming. The divisions are still there. I don't think that Trump has command and control over the Republicans in the Congress. For example, there was an issue of when he's nominating people that some Republicans said, no, these people are not fit to serve. We're not going to approve them, and he had to remove their nomination. So there is no command and control. These people are elected separately. They will not just do whatever Trump wants. They have different values, different priorities. And yes, they are Republican. Yes, he's Republican, and they see eye to eye on many issues. But they will stand up to him on some issues and say no. And
yes.
He has to convince them to vote. Now the Democrats, the other thing, interesting thing is that they are lined up all together. They stuck together. It's the Republicans that were divided during
yes.
this time. Yeah.
Dr. Ihsan Al-Khatib, the political science professor from Kentucky, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the show. From the escalating tensions in the Middle East and the ongoing challenges in the Russia-Ukraine conflict to the US government shutdown crisis, these developments underscore the complexities of our world. Thank you very much for joining us here on In Focus. I'm Henny Saif, and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.